All right, so let's start just moving our bodies a little bit. We're going to do a variation on our back release exercise. So we're going to take our bodies and we're going to start by sequencing our spines to the side. And I want to have a focus on being gentle with ourselves today. So this isn't a maximizing kind of thing. You're not pushing more. Instead, you're being really aware of your spine. And let's start from the top, the little bones here connected to our heads. Spine rotates, sequences, and then you'll hit a point where your hip would go to, taking your knee with it. And rather than letting that go, we're going to have that oppositional force. So I think of a lot of body movement being, if you want to stabilize something, you move it actively in opposition. So instead of having this freeze in our body, we actually have this delightful, dynamic pull in different directions. So it shouldn't feel like a difficult pull, just a delightful one. So we rotate our heads, hips go, and then lower body. Rotate our head into our spine, and as you're doing this, you can feel your hip rotating in the opposite direction. Da, 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 da. Head, da, da, da. Shoo, da, da, da. Let's do that again. Same direction. Taking as slowly as you need to or want to. The head, and then the hip goes in opposition, and then it catches up. Take a second to set your body and make sure that it's stacked, and keep that stack as we go. Shoo, ba, da, da. Shoo, ba, da, da. Let's go the other direction. We have our stack, we're here, and if you want to, you can hold your hip to remind it that it is opposing gently the upper body twist, and it goes. Twist, it goes, twist, release, twist, release. One more time this direction. We have this twisting, and we go like the nose, chin, neck, 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 chest, 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 and release. Twist, release, twist, release, twist, release. That feels very good on my spine today. And then we're going to do, the second thing we're going to do is we're going to think about wrapping over a big ball. You can see up there in my corner, there's a big ball up there. So think about giving it a big hug. And as you're doing this, if you've done this before especially, think about your whole body getting in on the action. So it's easy for us to just think about the back being up here. But I really want to include the pelvis in this. So our pelvis is scooping under and we're wrapping around. So that the arms would almost be unnecessary to hold up that ball. And then we're going to take one hand with the other hand and stretch long. And as we're stretching long, we're feeling the front space, but we're also feeling the length in our back space. And then the ball, take the same hand, stretching long, thinking about your tailbone going to the ground. Got all the space here in the front. And take the opposite hand, whatever you didn't do last time, whatever feels a little unnatural, and hold on to it, stretching long, thinking about dropping your tailbone, your coccyx, down towards the ground. And wrap, and stretch long. And then come to standing. Let's go ahead and take our back sequence over to the side. So let's start with our arms, and we're just going to do a variation where we go to the side. And as we go to the side, I want to think about almost the most important part is going up. So as we go over, rather than there being a down kind of pull to our body, we're going to actually resist gravity. We have this up and over. To be even more detailed, especially since I think most of you have done this with me before, we're going to think about our backs getting really long through this. So showing it from here, we're going up, but we're not going over here. We're not getting any crunch, showing that from the side. Instead, it's all this length, almost like you can still feel the beach ball underneath you from our last exercise. So as we're getting this up and over, there's all of this like almost hollowing out here. Length, 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 and then it happens to go pouring over to the side like a waterfall. And then the other side, and over. And the other side, and over. And the other side, and over. And there's a nice car alarm in the background. Sounds outside. So we're going to chain these together now. We're going to go up, over, and then with our head starting the game, snake taking us up. Let's focus on that up today. You can almost imagine somebody has the back of your neck, the scruff of your neck up, and then over long. Up, over, head goes 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 up, over. If it feels delightful for you today, you can add your elbows. So we can have this go up, over, and as you go over, it pulls this hand up and this elbow up. And then as you get to the top, that turning of your head flips your arm and the elbow goes down. Wah, 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 wah. And then take a couple breaths. I'm going to scoot back here because I prefer doing this on the wood floor. We can have something in our hands or not, whatever you want to do today. But I'm going to have this palm up, like I have this delightful thing to offer to you. And you can hold on to it if you need to, so it doesn't feel stressful for it to escape. But we're keeping the palm up, so it could theoretically just kind of hover there on top of your palm. I'm going to take this and have this go up and around. And as we're going around the back part, we're really focusing on this back space in our theme for today. So we're going up and around, and this length rather than a crunch when we go back, lengthening back, around and through. So let's take the same side, whatever side you started with. We have the ball, goes up, around, down, and through. If you remember that you can add a turn to it, you are correct. Feel free to. Today I'm just going to focus on it being in a stable place here. One more on this side. We have the ball. It's going in like a lasso around our head, up, around the back. And then when we get to this part here, it's rounding the corner, scooping towards our stomach, and then we're offering it up. Other hand, other side. We're here, and we're bringing it up and around, feeling that length. And then there's this turning point here where the elbow is higher than the hand, and we let it scoop around and through. Have the ball again, up and around, enjoying all that length, and through. Third time, it goes up and around, turning point, and through. All right, just gonna see if you have any questions before we continue on. All right, looking good, looking good. Okay, awesome. We're going to take our balls to the mat now. And we're going to take this ball and I'm going to bring it just the low back. So we have these bands of muscles going up the spine. And I'm going to put it on one side of that band of muscles, or on one of those bands of muscles up to the side of the spine. And we're going to let ourselves sink into the ball. You can put your feet flat on the floor, let your knees rest in. You can make sure that your neck is nice and long. And especially since we're on the low back, make sure that your shoulders are far enough from your hips that you don't have too much of an arch happening. Instead, you're nice and relaxed. I can breathe here. Since we're focusing on this back space right now, I want to really think about, even though we have this ball there and it might not be the most comfy thing ever, we can feel still all this lengthened space in our back space. You can allow your mind to notice what other parts of your body are impacted by the ball in your backspace. Then we're going to take the ball and just roll it up just a little bit up our back to that next spot. And you can readjust your feet if that feels like a good thing to do. You can readjust your bum, make sure that any flesh back there you can bring under so that you have plenty of space for the ball to meet that muscle. Breathing into it. Rolling off, we'll bring it a little bit farther up. And if we're at the part of your back that you have enough of an arch that this is not feeling like a sensation, feel free to go ahead and take a little bit of weight into your feet and bring your bum up just a little bit so that you have a little bit more sensation there. It's interesting, this really varies from day to day for me. I think most days I can do this with a tennis ball or maybe even a lacrosse ball, which is a lot harder. But there are some days when, I need something softer than a tennis ball. So be gentle with yourself. Notice where you are today. Notice how much pressure is the right amount of pressure today. Roll off of it and roll just a little farther up the back. Ooh, that feels lovely. You can let your jaw release. On this spot, we can take a really deep breath, letting air fill our whole stomachs so our bellies go up. And our sides expand and our back expands into the ball and around it. The next spot, rolling on up. Letting the pelvis be relaxed. We're here. Feet are flat on the floor, knees are softened in. Inhale, filling up your side, front, and back around the ball. And then exhale. Let's stay on this spot for one more breath, and we're going to inhale, hold it for the count of 3, and then exhale. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, and exhale. Brilliant. Roll off, go up. Feels so lovely in that kind of way for me today. And I'm gonna once again check on my bum, make sure that it's nice and relaxed down, that I'm not getting extra arch in my low back. You can put your hands there to check on that, and then gently let your back relax. It's not maybe going to go all the way to the floor, but it might want to relax a little bit more towards it. And then roll up again. We're getting near your shoulder blades, your scapula, so make sure that you're not on the bone there. You're in between your spine bones and your scapula bones with the ball. Ooh. If this feels as exciting for you as it does for me, check that you're not taking the excitement into a lift of your shoulders. Encourage them to relax down. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, drawing the ball in more. Take another inhale, expanding around the ball. And exhale, drawing the ball more into your center. And let's take the ball out, and we're just gonna feel that side of our back. We've gone from around the scapula on down. And let your back rest flat on the floor, and you can notice if that side feels a little bit longer, a little bit easier, a little bit more length. And then we'll switch sides. I'm just gonna check to see if there are any questions before we go on. All right, excellent. And I'm switching sides for the camera, but you can stay where you are. But do take this moment to resettle if you need to, the soles of your feet, or as I said the other week, the palms of your feet. Pelvis, you can also tilt it up a little bit just to make sure that you've got the top of your pelvis relaxing down so that your low back can be released on the floor. We'll take the ball and we'll put it just above your bum. Whew. And this is exciting. This side of my body is exciting for me today. If you do find those exciting parts of your body, especially if you are somebody who, like me, is a physical strength store, you can take a moment to see if you can allow not only the muscle to release, but also whatever it is that's causing you stress to find a release. Since our minds and our bodies are not quite as disconnected as we would often want to think that they are, the state of our bodies can impact our moods and how we're feeling, and how we're feeling can impact our bodies. So as we're working on releasing our bodies, we can also allow this to release whatever it is that caused that tension. Take the ball and let's bring that a little higher on the spine, or to the side of the spine, I should say. And once again, over here, take a deep breath. And you can feel that if you bring that breath really low into your back, you can let that expand around the ball and relax, releasing it. And let's take another deep breath, sending it around the ball. And release that breath. Rolling the ball up again. Take an inhale here around the ball. And exhale. Inhale and hold it for 3, and then we'll exhale. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, and exhale. Rolling that up. Any points that you find that are exciting or maybe even surprising to you, take a moment to appreciate that you're finding those spots and that you are able to take this moment to pour some love into your body and to find some release. If you find yourself tensing against the ball, see if you can very gently convince your muscles that they don't need to fight. That might be by taking a little bit of weight off the ball, or that might just be by thinking about release or melt. Rolling on up. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Take another deep breath in. And exhale out any feelings of frustration or lack of control. Finding that softening of the muscle. Bring the ball up again. Inhale. Around the ball, and then exhale, drawing the ball more in. And we'll bring the ball one more place up. So we're near the scapula, between the spine and the scapula here. Oh, and this is a very exciting spot for many people. So if you are one of us, and take a moment here, we're going to do several breaths. First, see if you can settle. Notice if any of the rest of your body had a tense, welcoming response to this spot. Release those as much as you can. And inhale, sending your breath around that ball. And exhale, drawing it in. And inhale, we're going to hold it for 3. 1, 2, 3, and exhale, drawing the ball in. One more of those. Inhale, hold, 2, 3, and exhale. Then roll off the ball. And let your whole spine just relax into the floor. Feeling all of that length. And relaxation. Fantastic. All right. We're going to come to standing now. And we're going to find a wall. I'll let you have a moment to make this transition because I know you've just been lying for a while doing a lot of intense stuff. When you're ready, we'll come to standing. And if you have a towel or a sweater or something like that, I'll switch the camera for a second. If you have a towel or a sweater, we're just going to use this to prop ourselves up a little bit, and we're going to find a wall that we can use to stabilize ourselves. We're going to do a little bit of a psoas release from standing. Okay. I'm going to leave my wall here. I'm going to place this maybe a foot or half a meter. Am I doing the conversion right? From the wall. That's definitely not right conversion, but you get the idea. I'm going to stand on it. And we're going to revisit the shape that we made in the beginning when we were doing all of our back sequence. We're going to have all the length up our backs, all of the space, and we're going to take this arm up and over with tons of space on both sides. A lot of the time the tendency is to arch backward, so instead come a little bit forward. And then we're going to take the free leg, the one that's farther from the wall, and we're going to swing it. Let your knee come up as far as is comfortable. And then relax. Oh, let's do the same side again after you've taken a couple breaths. Standing, getting nice and tall, leaning over to the side, and let's let the leg swing, 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 swing. Last one. Done. I feel a lot of length happening right here. This feels like it's just opening up. So let's do that on the second side. Finding your spot, stepping on it, check your distance, make sure you have something to stabilize yourself on. Finding all the length from the back, and then over, swinging the knee. And if you lose your balance like I just did, reset. Swinging the knee. Pause for a second and make sure that you are not just going over from the top where it won't get into this area as much, but you're really reaching and bending over from low. So where we were focusing when we were doing our twist and you could feel that resistance, that area we're going to now be keeping nice and low and long as we're reaching up over so we can really get into that release. Swinging the leg, swinging the leg, swinging the leg, swinging the leg, and relax. Gonna look over here to see if there are any questions. All right, excellent. I hope that feels good for all of you. It felt really nice for me. Okay, so we're going to continue on. And I want to bring the ball into our bums a little bit. That sounded the wrong phrasing, but you get the idea. We're going to release. So go ahead and bring the ball, or some people carry a lot of tension in their bums, and so if that's too much, you can have a softer ball, or you can have balled up socks. Lie back on our spots. Releasing our bums. Take the ball, put it underneath your high butt, and we're going to let ourselves sink into it. Letting our knees drape in. Breathing into it. Breathing in more. Breathing in more. If you feel yourself collecting any tension in your face or jaw, release that. Letting yourself melt around the ball. And roll to the side. Let's pick another spot. I'm going a little farther out on my high bum and reaching into it so the ball is almost to the side, but not quite. You release your jaw. We can even reach up and touch it a little bit while we're doing this, especially if we feel ourselves collecting any tension in it. And then you can roll off of it. And you can notice the difference in your size. For me today, it's actually quite dramatic in the difference. Feels amazing. And let's take the ball and let's do the other side. High butt. Kind of the middle of this butt cheek high. And just let it sink in. Since this brings your bum off the ground a bit, you may notice that your low back is able to be like a suspension bridge on that side and really enjoy the length that you get there. Keep doing this. I'm just going to look to see if I have any questions. Not yet. Excellent. Doing a great job. Keep it there. And today we're doing a little bit more static work with the ball rather than the wiggles that we do some days. And instead, we're going to find our movement in our breathing. 2 more breaths. And roll off the ball. And let's immediately take it out the same height out to the side, like high butt. Very exciting here. If you find that you need a little bit more pressure on it, you can bring your legs towards the side where the ball is. And keep breathing. And roll off of it. Whew. And now you'll find that you have so much more space. Whew. Feels amazing to me right now. Fantastic. Lie for a moment, enjoying all of that space. Excellent. And then you can come to sitting still with our balls. I take the ball and I'm going to put the tennis ball underneath, I'm going to call it my thut, the place where your thigh meets your butt, right underneath your butt cheek. Sit into it. If you're from if English is your second language, thut is not something you've been missing. It's just a made-up word. Oof. Ah, ha, ha. And so I'm basically just kind of sitting on it. If you need to see that again, here's the ball. I'm putting it right here, and then I'm sitting on it. And I can use my fingers to help me balance where my weight is to go into it more or less. Yes, I agree. It is very exciting. Oh. And then we still, in the same area, just shifted a little bit to one side or the other from wherever you were. So we get a slightly different part of that. Whew. I am also finding this exciting. Let's count down from 5 here. Still breathing. 3, 2, 1. Cutting off. And you can sit down, and you may notice that there's a really big difference in how it feels to sit on the 2 sides. So even if you, with your flexibility, you're behind your sits bones a little bit, you can still feel there's a lot more space in here for sitting, which feels fantastic each day. So let's go down the leg a little bit more. Put the ball underneath, just a little bit down from the thut, your high back of the leg, and you can lean into it. I'm not looking for a stretch forward or anything like that. I'm just looking for being able to get enough weight into it that it feels properly exciting. Leaning into it. And then rolling off, and let's get one more place down, rolling down your leg a little bit. From here, we're going to take our free leg, the one without the ball, and we're going to let it draw up as we lean back a little bit. So the heel and the knee are drawing towards my bum. And then I'm going to relax down towards it. The knee draws the heel towards me. And then I come back down over it. So I still have the ball on the other side. So you'll notice that as we're coming up, there's a little less pressure. As we're coming down, there's a little bit more pressure. And we can take our hands into it now. We come up and we fold over down. This always reminds me of like some kind of wave. Drawing up and over and down. Drawing up and over and down. And over and down. Up and over and down. Excellent. And let's take the ball out. And feel the difference on that side. Whew. That feels fantastic to me. Let's stand up for a moment and compare the sides before we do the second side. On the side that I just worked, I just feel like stability is a lot easier. Like I have this space here. And then we're going to do the second side. So sitting back down. Actually stay facing the same way this time so y'all can see the second side from a slightly different angle. Okay, taking the ball, putting it underneath that thigh butt area. Whew, sitting on it. And as you're sitting on it, of course, one hip is going to be higher than the other because you have a ball under there. But see if you can think about relaxing this down rather than hiking up. It relaxes down. Oh, and we sit here. And wiggle your toes a little bit. And feel a relaxation, a release. I sometimes feel this going down the back of my leg a little bit. Ooh, yeah. And then it can go towards the outside or the inside, wherever you were, just same height, just a little bit out or a little bit in. You can use your fingers to push yourself more or less onto it as needed. Then roll off of it. Whew. So much more space. Sometimes people talk to me about sitting. I think we're all sitting a lot, and we're often sitting on chairs that we're not necessarily used to spending a lot of time sitting on right now. This is a great way to help yourself find parts of your bum to sit on. We want to be a little bit more forward than a lot of chairs make us. A lot of the time we end up in this kind of position that puts a lot of pressure on our low backs as we're kind of in this slouch. So as much as we can, we want to start getting more forward in this way. And this gives us some more space towards that. The ball and onto our leg just beneath that butt area. As we take deep breaths, we're going to see if we can breathe relaxation into the back of our leg. So we'll take a deep breath in. And exhale, breathing relaxation into the leg. Inhale in. And exhale. Finding that releasing, melting. And let's take it down one more spot, a little farther down the leg. Whew. You can let your breath here become audible to yourself. Sometimes it's nice to even vocalize a little bit of a sigh. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. And roll off of it. Ooh. Oh, so much more space. This feels amazing. Stand up. Ah, delightful. So to go with all this new release that we have found from our backs and the backs of our legs, I want to go to the side. So we're going to be taking it, these give a nice little seam so you can see I'm taking the ball down the side of my leg we'll range from just above the knee to right in here, just below the hip bone. So I'm going to lie down on my side with the ball. And you can do either side since we're currently even. Lie down here. And you can either prop your head up on your hand if that's more comfortable, or let your head rest on your arm underneath you, whatever's comfortable. We'll take the ball and go for the top part first from here. And for this one today, I'm actually going to switch to my softer ball. And if this is too much for you to use the harder ball today, feel free to go ahead and grab those ball brush socks. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way onto it. Let it relax and melt. And then let's roll it down a little bit farther down the leg. And with this spot or any other spots that we find today, feel free to let yourself have compassion for yourself. It's a nice practice to have, whether it's harder to be doing the body care stuff today, or whether it's harder to stay focused in general. Any of those things, just give yourself a moment and say, it's okay. It is totally fine. And with this spot, notice if you're fighting against it or anything else in your mind, and see if you can let that go. I was singing Let It Go in the shower today. And for this spot on the leg, if you need more pressure, you can think about drawing your knees closer to the floor. And come off of it, and let's go a little bit lower on the leg. For this spot, to get more pressure, I start to bring my heels more towards my butt, and I might prop myself up a little bit just to give myself a little bit more pressure. Or if you've been using a softer ball and you want to switch to a harder ball at this stage, feel free to do that. Again, our home equivalents of fancy balls can be rolled up ball of socks and tennis ball. Keep breathing with this. And we'll lower down the leg. Breathing into that spot. Notice if you started collecting tension on the front of your leg, especially above the knee, and see if you can ease that. Condense that to release. And then farther down. So now right above the knee. Now I'm gonna give myself a little bit of an extra sitting up in, I guess this is our mer person pose where we're up here. And then come off of it. Whew. One leg complete. Stand up. Oh. Feels fantastic. See if you can notice like There's some down energy, especially I feel like coming down the front of my leg, like a little bit of a meltdown. And let's do the second side. So we're here. And again, feel free to have a softer ball or balled up socks for this part, if that is right for your body today. And you're gonna take and put whatever ball you're working with under the leg, near the hip, on the side, and lie down into that. And breathe. So much breathing today. If you feel it getting more intense, you can notice that. It often does intensify before it releases, so that's nice. And then we'll roll down to the next spot. Notice if you're staying behind the ball and make yourself get all the way on top of it on that side. Whew, that's it. Good. Pouring yourself into that ball. You could imagine the ball is a cute, cuddly creature that likes to snuggle, but it somehow is very strong, so it's fine you're laying on it in the snuggle. And let's stay here for 2 more big breaths. And roll off of it and down the leg again. Pouring your weight into it. And rolling off of it. We're getting far enough down the leg now that if at this point you want to replace it with a higher ball, if you're using a softer one, feel free. You can also put a little bit more weight into it by changing where your body is, so you can lever onto it more. And as with most things, you will find that the sides of your body are not always in the same place the same day. There, just relaxing onto it. And down the leg a little bit more. And for the final spot on this leg, just above the knee, I'm switching to my tennis ball today. And pushing into it. I might be up on more upright by this point, so you can get a little bit more pressure in. This really does feel like more of a mer person on the rocks to me, where I'm just surveying the ocean, looking for treasure to wash ashore, or for my overture theme music so I can start singing. And roll off of it. Brilliant job. Excellent, excellent. And we'll stand up. I want us to do a standing visualization. So make sure that if you are on the cold side, maybe you can grab a blanket to put around your shoulders or a sweater to put on. I'm going to stand up and feel everything stacking. And I want to find an effortlessness to our standing today. So we're going to rock forward and back very gently and slowly on our feet. So when you get to the back, you can notice it when you get farther into your heels, Your bum starts to clench, or maybe the side starts to tighten a little bit to help support you. You come forward from that. And you'll notice a spot forward of where you might think of center, that everything starts to relax. And if you soften your knees a little bit and make sure your upper body is also forward, you can find a pretty effortless position. If you go farther still, you'll notice that your toes start to dig into the floor, and you start to have to clench your front body to help support yourself. And let's back off from that. And explore your side to side range. Letting your shoulders sway just a little bit from side to side. And noticing that you can stay in that easy range where you're not having to clench your front or back bodies as you sway. Let's take the sway a little lower into our hips. Notice if bringing it to the hips starts to have you come back or clench above the knees, and come reset and have a little bit of that hip sway side to side. It's small enough that it's not going to be, we're not doing big things, we're not moving for the sake of moving, we're just swaying like you're a very supple, movable tree in a slight wind. And let's bring the swaying a little bit lower to our feet. So we have a gentle side to side with our feet. And then allow that to gradually stabilize. Stand here. And as we stand, I want us to be aware of our heels, and I want us to feel like there's a ray of light coming up our heels, up the back of our legs, up the back of our thighs. Good. The light continues to shine up over your bums, up your low back, your mid back, your upper back, and then the back of your head. And so with all of this light shining, this flow of energy taking you up the whole back chain of your body. So you have this up, forward, light feeling in the back. Take a moment to enjoy that. And then on our front half, I went to a waterfall once where there was this beautiful black rock cave behind it, and there was water running down the black rocks. But it was very peaceful water. It wasn't, you almost couldn't see the movement, but when you touched it, you could feel it. So I want to find that peaceful movement feeling down the front of our body. So you can imagine that there's water running down your face, very gently feeling that release down the face. If it helps you to touch your face with your hands to give yourself that sensation, feel free to. Down your neck, the outside of your throat, down your chest, down your whole rib cage. Feel it running over your belly, over your hip flexors. And as it runs over your hip flexors, you can really feel that openness there. Down your thighs, over your knees, down your shins, into the floor. So you can take a moment to feel the circularity of this motion. We have the light coming up the back of our bodies and the water rippling peacefully down the fronts. This may adjust your posture a little bit more forward than you're used to it being. And this may give you a little bit more feeling of lightness and lift through the back. It may feel like it's taking some weight off of your knees, maybe some pressure off of some of your other joints. And let's take a deep breath in this space, filling both the front and back halves of our bodies. And with this space, you can start moving however you would like to move in your own body. And notice if there was a place that this visualization felt especially delightful to you. Maybe your hip flexors, maybe your throat neck area, maybe the back of your head, maybe the back of your knees. You can let yourself keep that awareness as you move around. This might be like all the sticky sounds on that. As you move around. And if you haven't yet, when you're ready to, you can open up your eyes. And you can feel from all the work we did today that you have a longer back half of your body, maybe a longer body in general, but this space in your back half was our focus today. As always, you can support me by sending me a PayPal to danceruth@gmail.com. If you choose family and friends, the full amount that you send me will get to me. It is a suggested sliding scale of $5 to $18. However, less and more are always appreciated. This recording will be up for a whole week. Feel free to forward this on to everyone you know. Please do, in fact. That definitely helps me. Also, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and tomorrow is my birthday, so you can consider it a birthday present to me to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also tell everyone to do it. And that is youtube.com/c/Ruth Evelyn. And that's C. My name is Ruth Evelyn. Thank you very much.